Welcome to the Life's Best Medicine podcast, where we are finding hope and healing one episode at a time. No appointment needed, no rubber gloves, and no copay. Just a healthy dose of life lessons to help equip you for this wild journey we call life. Hey everyone, this is a friendly reminder that we are here for entertainment purposes only. We may not even be that entertaining at times, but this is not medical advice. Talk to your doctor, check with your healthcare professionals before making any lifestyle changes or medicine changes. What we're talking about is our clinical experience and what we've seen. And so if you really want our advice, you can consult us. You can actually consult me as a doctor, or you can consult my guest and get all your questions answered. But we can't give free medical advice because we can't pay our bills with that, but we can help to educate you a bit and allow you to think a little bit. And always reach out to your medical professional before making any lifestyle changes. Thank you.
Discover a new path to wellness at Arizona Metabolic Health. Dr. Brian Lenskis offers advanced medicine and personalized care, treating the root causes of your health concerns, not just the symptoms. Whether you're seeking direct primary care, effective diabetes management, or medical weight loss, with a holistic approach, our team is here to guide you every step of the way. Visit ArizonaMetabolicHealth.com today to learn more about our innovative health solutions.
Hello, everyone. October is here. You believe that? Oh my goodness, it's the scary month where black cats and witches and goblins and all that kind of stuff. But we don't have to be afraid of the food. Stay away from those processed foods. And to help you do that, if you get a sweet tooth when all your kids are out trick-or-treating, Health Code's here for you. They have tons of recipes on their website, well worth going to check out. They do, the chocolate macadamia and the vanilla, and you can make it into all kinds of stuff. My favorite are the maple bars. Amazing. Just make a bunch of them, cut them up small. And when the kids are eating those terrible things that are making their teeth rot, you could have a healthy alternative. So Health Code, thank you so much. And my discount code with them is MedHealth, METHEALTH. Go check them out. Thank you. Hello and welcome back to the Life's Best Medicine podcast. Today is a topic that is hard for a lot of us. As a father of two daughters, and as a doctor, I've seen the ravages of what happens with this problem. And so today I was at a meeting and someone mentioned Lisa's name. And I said, you know what, I would love to help out however I can, because they're doing a fundraiser to help with these women who've been affected. And it's a topic that's so tough. It's human trafficking. And Lisa Mitz is here. She has quite the story, and she's been involved. There's a event coming up called An Evening of Destiny. And they're helping out Destiny House restoration for women who've been trafficked or family members. And so, gosh, Lisa, welcome. It's so good to have you.
Thank you so much. I am so honored to be here. I really appreciate it.
Yeah. So tell us, how did you get involved, and how did you, what motivated you? Tell me your story, whatever you want to share with people.
Well, I'll try to, synchronize 12 years into a few minutes, but basically, back in 2011, 12, around there, my husband came across a music video actually called Silence is Shameful. He had been looking for, Christian music, but came across this title, thought that's an interesting title. And lo and behold, it was a music video about a reenactment of this girl basically in a truck. You don't realize she's getting trafficked. She's been, taken for human trafficking. At the end of the video, it shows her being thrown into a house where there's like a bunch of other girls in a room. And at the end, the FBI stats come on, and it talks about trafficking in the United States, and he was just like, he couldn't believe it. He's a healthcare practitioner, he's an acupuncture doctor, and he's a pastor. And so we also have two girls and two boys, and at that time our girls were 11 and 16, and the FBI stats were like between ages 12 and 15 that this was happening right here. And it just devastated him. And, I just saw like what happened. He goes, I just watched this video and I can't even believe what I saw. And sure enough, I then researched with him, and this was happening right here in our backyard. So we felt like we had to do something. I'm actually a recording artist and a songwriter. And a performer. And so I had just released an album back then. And on that album was a song called Where Has Love Gone? It's a pretty dark song. And I didn't really kind of even know why I was writing it. I love
Wow.
Jesus. So I thought, well, maybe I was just, writing this as like a prayer intercession. But we turned around and we felt like if God showed my husband that video that we were supposed to do something, maybe we were to do that for this song because it was kind of along those lines. And so we created a video. That video, actually, Where Has Love Gone, has been seen about 450,000 views on YouTube. And it received the International Awareness Film Festival Music Award in 2015. So besides the video reaching a lot of people, we felt through that we were to reach people with this message of awareness, education, prevention for the average families that are out there that had no idea, like us. So we started our Evening of Destiny benefit concerts. And then we also felt like, because we're all about healing, that we needed to provide healing for survivors. And that's where Destiny House Restoration Center was birthed way back in 2012 as a 501c3. We had started in the Seattle area, and in 2021, we moved here. We all know what was going on, right? So we left Seattle and came to Prescott Valley, and we started all over again. We really thought we were maybe going to just, donate everything away, but we thought we're going to give it one more opportunity here. And in the last 4.5 years, it's really grown in this community, and we are absolutely thrilled that not only do we have these annual concerts that happen once a year that are huge, we can talk more about that, but we also have an aftercare outpatient program in Prescott in our clinic where we provide all kinds of holistic therapies, acupuncture, nutrition, mentoring, coaching, art therapy, music therapy, um, nutritional supplementation for trauma, a lot of trauma release. We also are in the process right now of negotiating on a home for women 18 and over that we will be opening, hopefully announcing at the concert. We're just waiting on the counter offer. But that's also going to be here in the Prescott area. So that's kind of to give you like a synopsis. One other quick thing, and we can, I don't want to take over too much talking, but I have my own story, and a lot of what I share with women, what inspired me is I wasn't trafficked. So I don't know anywhere the trauma that's involved with that, but I was held up. I was uh, didn't had no idea, stalked and attacked in my own home during broad daylight, held at knife point, tied up, and raped. I thought he was going to kill me, and it was really by the grace of God that I survived. And it took me years to get, the healing that I needed. Jesus is a big part of that, but also acupuncture and all the things that we provide. I personally went through, and so I know just a tiny little bit of what these girls go through, like, every day. So
Wow, Lisa, thank you for sharing that. Yeah, that's so devastating. It's such a violation. And then, living in fear and being anxious is going to happen again. What can I have done to prevent it? Guilt, shame, whatever. It's
yeah,
so hard what women go through. And it's just devastating.
yeah, it really is, and for a long time, even it's even hard to talk about it. And I had a wonderful doctor who actually at that time helped me just to like get, because I was so anxious, and shaking, and we don't realize the effects that trauma has on the brain and the heart. So that's why it's so important to us to, not only do these huge education and awareness events, which are critical, but to raise funds for helping survivors of trafficking, sexual violence, and abuse.
Yeah, it's so hard to get out. I mean, that's one of the big things. And as a doctor, I'm ashamed to say for 17 years of my practice of 25, I never really understood the impact of trauma. Childhood trauma. There's one called the ACE study, with adverse childhood events, and increased risk of asthma goes up like 50 times. You name every disease process that we're treating, and early childhood trauma or any trauma over time, shortens if you have a bunch of these variables like broken family, and violence in the family, sexual abuse, physical abuse, food scarcity, so many of these factors involved. Mental illness running in the family. If you have like five or more of those, I think your life shortens by 20 years, if we don't address it.
Yes, 100%. It's interesting that you talked about that study because we just got back, my husband and I, and one of our board members went to the Arizona Call to Action Summit for Human Trafficking recently held last week in Mesa. And one of the groups that we went to, the breakout sessions, or actually I think was a whole group session, there was a couple, 250 people attending. It was on that very subject of what trauma does and what it looks like on the brain and what it does to the child and the teenager and eventually the adult, and how the brain doesn't even fully develop until, in their 20s. And so, for a healthy teenager, and then you add on all these other things to it, and it's just really, it can be very devastating if we don't address and we don't bring healing to that.
Yeah, it's so huge. And then how like tell people like parents out there, what are warning signs? What are things we can do if we have young kids that to say, hey, let's keep them safe.
So it's a really good question. And we actually talk about this not just at our event, but we do an annual January, which is International Human Trafficking Awareness Month. And we do a free seminar where it's just with law enforcement detectives. We bring in other agencies, and we also, our agency, we talk about it. But I'll just give you a little bit of it. Most trafficking in the United States over the last about 8 years or so is really with familial trafficking. It's tragic, but most of it happens either with, let's an example, an addicted mom who pimps out her kids, or a somebody who's very close to the family. I recently dealt with a young girl in her teenage years. She's 15, who basically was groomed and molested by a 55-year-old man who had become, quote, a really good friend of the family and had been staying on their property. The other kinds of trafficking can come major through social media, Snapchat. These are signs where parents need to be involved with their kids, what is going on. They can't be afraid to put those, to go into their phones and know their passwords. Sometimes they're even given an extra phone, like this young girl was given another phone. You really have to know what is happening, but social media, older boyfriend, if you notice that the kid is getting lots of gifts or clothes or things that, you just like, where'd you get that from? That can often be a groomer that is doing that. Foster care is a big issue too. It's one of the aged out foster kids too, and the almost aged out 16 years old. It can be it's one of the biggest factors too here in the United States. But really, it can happen, sadly, if you don't know, to anybody, right? And that's why you do have to know as a parent, be very involved with that.
Yeah, it's so scary because you don't want to get into your kid's privacy, but these days it's so scary. I remember my daughter when she was 9, my oldest. This is when social media was just starting, and it was something like a kids game site. And some guy goes, "Oh, I'm a photographer. Would you like me to come to your swim practice and take pictures of you?" This kind of stuff. I'm like, "What? Like, are
Yeah,
you kidding me?" Like
yeah,
things like that, and they hide out in these things. Even I hear there's things even on YouTube and different places where they're looking at toys and somehow they get their IP addresses. And is that correct? Things along those lines?
Yeah, it's crazy. They do through YouTube, and I know Snapchat is another big one. TikTok. I mean, you just don't know. But those communicative ones where you can send messages back and forth like that, that's the ones you have to be careful about.
And even like at the mall, there was, in San Diego where I'm from, there was a mall that was famous that the guys would start dating you, and then they take you, and then all of a sudden you're being trafficked, and then they're embarrassed to say anything, and then they're stuck in shame, and then it just gets so deep
It
so
does, and
quickly.
that's another example, where there was a story of a couple of girls, two or three girls that were together, and a groomer, a guy who, was older and had a lot of money, said, hey, was kind of befriending them. He was cute and all this stuff, and he started buying them things. And two of them went home with their parents. When one of the parents said, "Where's the other girl?" they said, "Oh, she met this, guy. They're hanging out together." And, sure enough, that ends up becoming a horrible trafficking situation where it's not even so much that she disappears and is kidnapped. It's that, he takes her to a strip bar, and then there's pictures taken and bribery and money and all this stuff. And before you know it, this girl is living a double life in the chains of, all of that.
And so how do you track down the girls? How do you get them out of this lifestyle? How is that done?
So in our case, well, so for our aftercare program, we see all ages. We even see families affected because it does affect the whole family. So for the outpatient program, we might get referrals through DCS or through, anywhere that hears about Destiny House, that going online, and maybe they have custody of their grandchild or something, or, and they need help. They have a safe home environment. So they're not on the streets, but they just need that aftercare program that we see that. But for our home that we're about to open, the residential full-time residential 2-year program, that is for 18 years and older, for girls that are, really needing more of a private, safe, full-time healing kind of thing, where they're also encouraged to be prepared for how to get a job, how to live with healthy life skills, how to save and budget, how to cook, how to take care of themselves, all those things. So that's what our full-time residential program will be. And we'll probably get referrals once we open from all over the state. We are also connected to one of the leading experts, if not the leading, Dr. Dominique Rose-Sepowitz, who is going to be one of our speakers at the upcoming Evening of Destiny on October 25th.
Yeah, and it's just it's I'm hearing every day about human trafficking rings being broken, and they're just everywhere. It's just incredible. You can't imagine, especially in Prescott, or like you wouldn't picture that in our area.
No, you wouldn't. And in fact, it's quite shocking when people, they come to our event and then they'll hear, for example, we're having Commander Tom Bolts, who is the commander of the sheriff's office, of specifically the human trafficking task force that was just created a couple years ago by Sheriff Rhodes, because trafficking is such an issue in Yavapai County. So they had to create an entire task force about that. And so he will actually be our first speaker at the event. So yeah, it is. It's in every backyard. It's in every city. Yeah.
And especially if it's the family, it's hard to find out, like to figure it out. It's probably the teachers figure it out, or someone that they're close with in the community where they can share, because there's so much shame that these
Yeah.
young women don't want to talk about it. They don't want to, they're afraid of no one taking them seriously or believing them. And that's a huge problem.
No, it really is. Again, there's shame, there's guilt, there's feeling, up until very recently, and this is another horrible thing, but if a young girl, even an 18 or 20-year-old, which, we all know they are not adults yet. I mean, but anyway, if they were caught in with a John, in prostitution, which really was trafficking, because here the man is paying for sex, right? I mean, they're trading that for money, the definition of that for a child. And the girl would be arrested and called a prostitute, and the guy would get off. And it was only until recently, with the help of like Linda Smith, who was key in Washington State, where we were when we started, and here in Arizona, I know there's been many too that have really been fighting that fight, um, in changing that law so that the girls are not the ones that are going to jail. Um, but for a long, long time, that is what has happened.
And that's what's so important, teaching life skills, economics, how to get back into society, and not because a lot of people, once they're trafficked, they think this is the only way I can make money or survive. It's a survival thing for so many.
It is. And the ironic thing about it, though, is the average lifespan is only about 7 years. So while, they think that that is the truth, that it's just so far from the truth. And that's why, what we're doing to try to change, I mean, we may be just a small thing, but if there's many of us around the country that are, pouring our hearts out to try to do this. And that's why I really want to encourage also, I'm hoping that we can get this podcast out soon, because we do have this event that only happens once a year on October 25th. This year is the date. And this is where the community at large comes together, and we bring forth the education, but also the inspiration. We do live music, professional full band concert. Like I said, I'm a recording artist. I've done a lot of music about this, about hope, bringing a message of hope, breaking chains, inspiring people to believe in their dreams and to give a second chance. And we raise money, and this is a big deal because this is the year that we're hoping, we, through a very generous donor who is given a matching fund challenge of $100,000, we are finally going to be able to purchase this home, and in the process of doing that now. So I just really, I know it may be last minute if they're listening or watching, but I really want to encourage everybody to get their tickets and come to that. And you can also support all year, because we do have other events, just not this big one. We have smaller things that we do, and we provide resources all year long. People can come tour our offices and make appointments, things like that.
And also they can donate also if they just want to donate, if they can't come, if they're out of state, or and they
Yes,
feel strongly about this.
100% they can donate. We don't turn any donations away.
Did I hear right? Someone said that you're going to have a library there, so people have books they can send to you. Is that correct?
We are hoping, yes, in the house that we will have, even if it's a section of a room, that if there's any authors that want to send, or anybody, encouraging, inspiring books, books that give hope and meaning to life, faith-filled books are great.
Hmm.
But yeah, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing what you're doing, because these are the forgotten. These are our next generation. And when you hear it, it's some of those things when people hear the guy, I don't want to hear it. Some of the movies that have come out that I've seen, I was like, wow, that was hard to see. And these task force, what they see, and they have to clean up the mess that's left behind. It's heart wrenching.
It is beyond. I mean, I don't, God bless those people who have to do that. Yeah. I mean, because it's not easy work. And it really is a collaborative work. It's a collaborative process, right? I mean, we talked about that at the summit also, that we're all working together, right? We need the law enforcement. We need that are like helping, right? I mean, yes, there's issues where there is corrupt law enforcement, no doubt, but most law enforcement that are dedicating their lives to this really go out of their way to try to save women, right? And boys, men and
Hmm.
women, boys and girls that are caught up in this. Um, and then you need your service providers, like we are, you need your advocacy like we are too. We kind of we have a dual mission, both education, awareness, and advocacy, as well as healing and restoration. So you need, we need to be all working together, to, how do you end this? Right? You've got to end the demand. That's a whole other thing. One of the most inspiring talks that we heard was from a man who had been in prison for a long time and around a lot of this. And, what do you do to teach men how to be healthy men, right? And how to learn the difference of what is society thinks is, oh, that's just normal pornography and, and prostitution and strip clubs and all of that's just part of our culture, right? But those are literally highways into, fast moving gateways into where groomers and traffickers are. And it's a lifetime process. We can do what we can, and that's why I encourage everybody. People can feel like, oh, it's so overwhelming and it's so
Mhm.
heavy, and and it's fearful, and but you make a difference just by, if you're, wherever you are, whatever city you're listening to, support an organization. Like, you make a difference just by helping and supporting. So
Showing up and teaching a skill that you have. You say, gosh, what do I do? You're sitting home depressed and bored. Like, okay, I know how to sew, or I know how to teach a skill. And so those people can really make an impact, and loving on people, showing them love, and that you don't have a hidden agenda, those kind of, because they've been so destroyed, their trust in humanity.
Oh, without a doubt. In fact, we have a wonderful volunteer team, and that's one of our programs for our volunteers is, obviously there's a background check process, and we have to get to know you, and but we do have a life coaching mentorship program where people with sewing skills, gardening skills, cooking skills, we have all of that, to come in and empower those that have never had that, because, like, a lot of them come from broken homes, or just where they just didn't have that in their life. So yeah, that's a big part. Give of what God's given you, to make a difference in that way.
Yeah, I think as a believer also, a lot of people who don't believe will say, well, if God was there, how did that happen to Lisa? How does that happen to these women? Where's God in all of this? So how do you answer that when you get that question?
Really good. I know that's like the question, right?
Yeah.
Um, well, the way, it's interesting. Like, what I personally have experienced is that, God gave us choice way back. He gave, I mean, Adam and Eve choice, right? And it's, everybody does what they do with the choices they have in their life. Now, I didn't choose to have that man do that to me, right?
Mhm.
But I had a choice at some point. At that point, I didn't even know Jesus, but I knew that somebody was speaking in my heart and saved my life that day. And so I knew that I had a choice to make, to forgive, which was really hard, right? But I had to, or I was going to be left with all the pain that and anxiety and trauma. And the second is to believe that God uses all things together for good. He didn't cause that. He didn't put that in my life. Somebody else did that to me. But he's used it now as a catalyst that I could never have imagined to be able to reach many, many other people. And so, yeah, horrible things happen. We're living in a fallen world until Jesus comes to fix it all. We don't know when that is. All we can do is be an agent of healing and blessing, and that's just what I want to do.
Yeah, and bringing light to the darkness, and bring shining light on the darkness too, so the cockroaches have to hide, and
Yes.
and so that's so true. I mean, what you're talking about, we go through so many things in life, and it's like that's why now I can talk to that person. So you could say I understand, to some degree. I've been there, and fight through those things. And so many people I know who are powerful warriors for the Lord are coming from a drug background, or coming from a from prison. A good friend of mine, he's like, yeah, you wouldn't give me the key to your house if you knew my story. I'm like, really? Right? Tell me. And it's amazing. But having good people around, and he said everywhere he went there was a Bible, and he goes, that's it, I'm just gonna have to read this stupid
Wow.
thing. And then the Lord spoke to him, and it was amazing. Now he's one of the smartest people I know. But it's amazing how the Lord had to reach him. Like he was stuck there and he couldn't take his drug, and he goes, I'll just start reading.
I know. And God, that's what I love about God. Like when it happened to me, and I don't often get to share, I share my story a lot, and it's not always that I get to have the blessing of another believer, but you will appreciate this. And those listening, when I was tied up and thought he was going to kill me, I actually heard a voice that I had never heard before. And it's an amazing story. I think someday maybe it'll be a movie. I don't know, but he had actually been to the house the day before and saw my husband, who never came home for lunch. We were brand new married. He had just started his practice, but he came home for lunch one day. And this guy, we were selling furniture. He came in the house, saw him, said, "I'm not interested," turned away and left. Called me the next day and said, "I changed my mind. I want the
Mm,
furniture. Is your
gosh.
husband there?" And I said, "No, he'll be back later." Long of it is, I let him in. There was a knock at the door. I opened the door and he said, "I'm just going to come get it." And he shut the door, pulled a knife, dragged me, and all of that.
Oh
Well,
gosh.
at that point, I heard this voice, "Tell him your husband's coming home." And I said, I'm arguing in my head. I told him that he wasn't. Like I'm
Mhm.
having this argument with this voice that I don't know. Long of it was, out of sheer terror. I still remember, I can see the clock. It was 12 o'clock. I just blurted out these words, and whatever he heard, I don't know what he heard. He dropped the knife and hit me and ran and left. And he was later found and went to prison, admitted. I was taken to the hospital. Um, but I heard that same voice. See, I then was filled with so much horrible trauma, but I kept hearing that voice for like a year and a half later, until somebody finally introduced me to the Lord. I'm actually Jewish also, so is my husband, and we received Jesus, Yeshua, his Hebrew name. And it was just an amazing thing how God, even in my worst, darkest hour, was there. So,
Wow, you feel redeemed,
yeah, I
right?
mean,
Redeemed, and it's just incredible. That's incredible. So no one's too far away, too, that the Lord can't redeem us and make us clean again, and it's so hard that so many people go through life and hold on to this, and the shame and the guilt and all these things is so destroying to our bodies.
it is. And I've experienced so much healing myself. And, I just know how important it is to hold on to faith and hope and trust that, it may look really dark, but God has you, and he's never going to let you go, and he will take our ashes and make beauty out of them. And so that's what I want to encourage people.
Yeah, if you're in ashes, don't give up, just keep your hope, one more step, one more day. So many people gave up during COVID lockdowns and the depression. You couldn't go to church, you couldn't be with your friends, you couldn't do things, and so people started drinking and taking drugs, and domestic abuse went up. All these horrible things that we saw went up, and so here we are again, out being able to live our lives, and we for a while there thought it would never get back to this where we're at. It's such a blessing for all of us.
Yes, I'm so grateful. Yeah, truly.
You
And look,
appreciate it that much more.
yeah,
So, tell people like just more about what the event is, how they sign up, where they can go, and I'll put if you send me something, I'll put it in the show notes so people can get your
yeah.
number and how they can contact you or hear your music that you're doing.
Yeah, sure. So first, okay, so the event, if you're anywhere in the Arizona area, we actually have people coming up from Scottsdale, Fountain Hills, Mesa, Buckeye, a lot of people coming from Cottonwood, all over Sedona. But the event is in Prescott at the beautiful Jim and Linda Lee Performing Arts Center at Yavapai College. We are praying and hoping, we are like, I think 15 days out, we're hoping for a total sellout, which will be about 1,037 seats filled. October 25th, the event starts at 6:30. Doors open at 5:45. There's resource tables, all kinds of opportunities to connect with us. I'll have my brand new album too, and there's t-shirts. We have great concert t-shirt that says "Breaking the Chains," and of human trafficking. And so we will have all amazing speakers. We have the Patriot Barbie, Lindsey Graham, who is amazing. If you've never heard, she's our big speaker. But we also have all these incredible experts coming, sharing. We have a mom sharing of a daughter. You're not going to want to miss that story. I'll be performing, my producer, a full professional band, touring band from Washington State. And so tickets are selling. You can go to either ycpac.com, and look up for the Evening of Destiny, or you can go to our website, and you'll learn all about our mission there too. And the poster is on the homepage. That is destinyhouserc.org. So destinyhouserc.org, and you can learn about our mission, our story, all who's on our advisory board, our program. And you'll see on the homepage too there the big poster, and it'll say learn more, how to get tickets. Um, and yeah, we'd love to connect with whoever's listening. If you want to get on our email list, if you have anybody that you're concerned about, we have helped a lot through why these events are so important is we almost always have somebody that calls us or comes up to our table after saying, hey, my friend's daughter is messed up with this issue, or we've actually helped rescue people here in the States through a horrible situation, whether they were hooked on fentanyl, um, with a groomer, an older boyfriend. We've helped place people in other programs all around the country. That's why it's so important for the community to come together to get to understand what the signs are, and how to help.
Yeah, and we can't just shut our eyes. We have to look. We have to figure it out. We have to all work together. And you're right. We have great law enforcement and people who care out in the community. And as we pull all of our resources, your skills, your talents, to entertain and to be able to use your God-given talents for an important purpose like this, it's just amazing. And it's great. When I heard about this one, I'm like, it's amazing. We just got together so quickly on the same day. Usually I schedule like a
know.
month and a half down the road, but I think it's really great and really important. I think, what you're doing is God's work and really reaching out and helping other people. And so many people in the community that are depressed or anxious, they could help out and help you, in your mission, and, just volunteering or bringing flowers or doing whatever, bringing food for the girls, and whatever it is.
Yeah, no, it's so true. And I want to also, before I forget, I want to thank, because you just reminded me, we've had so many amazing sponsors, like 23 different sponsors, all ranges of donation from 250 up to $4,000, who gave to help us have all the proceeds, so that all the cost of the event are covered, and all the ticket proceeds, and everybody that's coming and wants to help, everything is going to the house and to the mission. And one of them, because you just inspired me, is a doctor from Scottsdale, who is one of our angel sponsors, Dr. Amit Patel, Integrity Pain and Wellness. And they're bringing 8 of their staff. And that's what I wanted to share, is that, this is an opportunity for people to get your businesses involved, your your little group, your little circle of influence that you have great influence over, to get them involved and participate, just to know what's happening, and have an opportunity for them to make a difference by being there, by giving, by volunteering next year or whatever. Being involved in that way, as our community is broken up into little individual pieces that are so important, whether you're a doctor, a lawyer, a gardener, whatever. This is critical.
Yeah, to know what to look for and what to see that's odd, or say something, or talk to someone about it, or reach out to the parents, or whatever it might be. It's so important because a lot of us just go through life and we're just with blinders on and we don't observe what's happening around us. So it's nice to have police officers who could tell you, here's some signs, here's things we look for, and just be able to save lives and prevent this down the road. And like you said, I think it's so critically important, the role of men, of being a people of faith and living your life in a way where you're not contributing to the problem. Because clearly, when they talk about how many people are trapped, you go, gosh, there's got to be so many people out there that are using those resources, those sources, and thinking, gosh, if we can intervene and say, and not only that, is being involved in your kid's life and observing and seeing what's happening and be
That's
that
key.
love for them so they're not seeking it somewhere else.
Yep, that is so important. So it's why, I always tell people most of the time, women tend to be the ones that want to help with this, right? And that's good, that's important. But like for this event, this huge, huge event that we do once a year, or for our trainings in January, or our sponsor recruits in May, it's got to be men too. Like men have to be there. Men need to be, dads need to know, so that exactly 100%, because it starts in the home. And sadly, there are a lot of broken homes, right? I mean, that's a big factor in this, but it can happen to anybody. It can even happen in a perfectly what looks like normal church going family home. And
Mhm.
so it is critical that, yes, men too have to be part of it. So, yeah.
Yeah, no one's immune. The brokenness of humanity, I mean, no one's immune. It's stunning though. As a matter of fact, my kids were both competitive swimmers, and one of the swimmers got trafficked. Like she had a boyfriend that was older, and they started going to parties. All of a sudden, she disappears. She's in LA prostituting, and fortunately, her mom and family were able to get her and get her out of that lifestyle. But it's so hard, and it was so hard because the police didn't want to help. It was really, oh, they're outside of our jurisdiction, and there's so much. It's so you feel so lost and hopeless, and I saw that. So what you're doing is so great to give that hope and to give these women an opportunity to heal and recover and not just be stuck in that chronic stress mode. It's life changing, life saving.
Thank you. Yeah. Well, one day at a time, and I really appreciate your support, and I just think this time next year we're going to look back and say, wow, this is how many people we were able to help. The house that we're hoping to open can hold up to 7 women. And so we're really praying that this is going to be a huge breakthrough for us before the end of 2025. Um, and I just, I'm grateful. By the way, if they do want to, I just didn't want to forget, if they want to check out my music, I have a website, Lisa Mitz Music, but I'm also on Spotify, Apple, YouTube. I just released a new album, Sing Baby Sing. We are going to do several of my songs. I think people are going to be really encouraged. Again, I just want to encourage, as they're coming to this event, it's not a downer. You're going to leave like so inspired. But even if you're out of city and state, I know you have a huge audience. So whoever's listening, I'd love to stay in touch with you regardless. So just find me either through my music or through Destiny House, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, and keep them in prayer for this event, all the work. I know I've done
Oh,
tiny events. I know it's just a nightmare. Logistics.
oh my God.
You were dealing with the airport, trying to get people there. They're supposed to be
Oh,
there, speakers. It's so many moving parts. It's like, man, overwhelming. You probably take a nap for a little while after you're
oh,
done
I
with this
like
thing.
for a week. Yeah, I
Yeah.
won't answer my phone.
Yeah, you can't
Except my
talk. You're just
kids.
numb and beat up and recovering and everything. Yeah. So, Lisa, what's life's best medicine for you? Where do you go when things are hard? What motivates you to fight on and keep going? Where do you find your strength? I think I know the answer.
Yeah. Well, 100% Jesus. I mean, I just cannot do life without. And in fact, one of the signs I know that I'm haven't spent enough like quiet time and, just quieting myself and journaling is when I start to get like stressed and, all the things we've been talking about. So it's so important. I also have an amazing husband who loves the Lord and really helps me, get back to that center. We do our devotionals, we pray, pray for our kids. We have 4 grandbabies, and so I would say, those two factors are absolutely without a doubt. And then I will say my music is a big one too, because again, music is a way that heals the heart in a lot of ways, whether we're playing it, writing it, listening. I think God created it for that way. And why did why did Satan, he was what, right? He was an angel of light and had a lot to do with the music of heaven, right? Because that's where a lot of the anointing is. And so, um, used for God's purposes, it's a wonderful, wonderful thing. So that's my answer.
Awesome, amazing. Thank you so much, and God bless you for all you're doing. This is just amazing that So when anyone talks about you, they light up and get excited, and they go, "Brian, you got to talk to her." So I'm so glad we got to connect today, and I'll be there. I'll be looking forward to seeing everyone, and yeah, it's a huge blessing. And so people, like I always say, be kind to yourself, be kind to others. But if you feel a tug on your heart, just do it now. Like reach out, because you're gonna forget and you're gonna get distracted by life. But if you want to help out, you want to come, you want to sign up, you want to come, meet everyone here in Prescott, Arizona. Beautiful place to be, and it's gonna be an amazing time. So thank you so much, Lisa. I know you're busy right now for taking time out, but we'll get the word out as much as we can. And
Thank you.
yeah, blessings to you.
I'm so grateful. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to this episode. We greatly appreciate your support. We would greatly appreciate a positive thumbs up on all of the platforms like iTunes and Spotify or wherever you're listening. And we just thank you for our Patreon supporters. We greatly appreciate your help in getting this message out. We think there's a lot of important information. And hopefully this helps you. Have a great day, and thank you for listening, and thank you for your support.